today was good. I think the different topics, the different ideas that were thrown and thoughts that were thrown into the meeting today, this was just like amazing. But maybe you can tell us a bit more about what today was about.
Yes. So today we were launching a research project, right? That talks about the costly impact of gender-based violence. Really digging into understanding the perceptions within the private sector of both your leaders, your C-suite executives, but also employees about, where things stand. Are we being supported? Are we not, as I want to say, potential victims or maybe perpetrators? What the status is there. So that's the perceptions part. And what is being done, right, within the private sector, within the workplace environment, right? So that was the conversations with 70 plus CEOs and I think over 1,000 employees from the private sector. So that's one part of it. So understanding the perception, but also realities. And that's when we have Christophe Dalal from Mid-Sweden University. And he's a health economist, so he actually starts to tap into the healthcare costs of gender-based violence. And looking at the book, he actually has that kind of like chapter in terms of, one doctor's visit is X amount over a year, because then the healthcare cost to you is also the healthcare cost to the organization, right? Because it also includes days, dailies, which is the days out of office kind of thing. There's a word for it that the smart minds use. So it's about those perceptions, those realities within the workplace. But it's also really a way for us to have a sense of what's happening on the ground right now when it comes to private sector and GBV. Do people understand how bad it is, or do they not? You know what I mean? And it's interesting, and there's some parts we have quotes here from CEOs and employees who might or might not even have a good sense, or maybe some will be like, well, they'll be vaguely aware that there's an issue with GBV, but not necessarily engaging with it. But you've got sometimes employees who are like, we need more. So with all of these conversations then in the book, we then have recommendations as to, for now, what can be done, right? So for example, including GBV in your strategy as a business, but also your reporting. So it's not just something that happens in CSI sideline, but reporting, if it's in your reporting, it means leadership is accountable for something. So have GBV and gender equality, for us the two are linked. Talk about it clearly and what you're doing about it, right? But also what came out strongly as well is, it's you doing something in this sector, they're doing something in that sector, etc. How do we have multi-sectoral collaboration? So you've got policy change on one side, you've got strategy on one side, but also multi-sectoral collaboration. You saw today that we had civil society people who've been working on it. Let's come together. So let's come together. You've got academic minds, you've got the activists within the civil society, you've got the business minds. So how do we pull all of this activity onto one place? So I think for us, what we'll know is this. We know GBV is important. We know it's important to deal with urgently with society. But for us is to keep reminding that we have to also have tangible outcomes out of this knowledge. So for us, as I said when I was talking, it's a mirror to business, to workplace, to society. This is the status. We're going to do more research that we're going to launch early 2023. But for now, let's talk about where we are. If that makes sense.
I think that's brilliant. I think what I really liked in the presentations was the thought that was shared quite a lot, that there is actually an economic case for business to solve for gender-based violence. I think that was quite. I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily have sight of, and people don't strategically think about when they're building their businesses. But what we are about is financial inclusion, because our podcast is called Financial Inclusion Perspectives, and we want to really look at financial inclusion from its different dimensions. And one of those dimensions is equality of financial services within genders, fin equity, like having women participate in the economy as well, having women own bank accounts like men do. Is there anything about that in the report, or any thoughts around that?
So in the report itself, in the broader sense, as part of the gender equality theme, right? It definitely speaks to that. It speaks to when we all talk about equal opportunity. But let's again be clear what we mean by that, right? Let's not have a campaign that talks to Women's Month, but let's actually talk about, as a business strategy, what does that mean? Like, as a financial services organization, what are you doing that speaks to, inclusion, inclusivity, women, etc.? So for us, it's more a thematic approach to, because if we went in through the lens of gender-based violence, gender equality is what will help make sure that the fight against gender-based violence is that much stronger. So we're challenging that strategic approach to gender equality, which also includes, of course, financial inclusion. So I think what's going to be interesting, though, I must say, is that when we dig deeper into this, right, which again is the next phase, where let's actually look at who's doing what. Now we are, like we had the analyst here, now we have stats, let's track progress, let's track potential progress. And for us, it was also important to, as in, KPMG being one of those organizations and having, again, private sector endorsement of this. We can't even have these conversations if you're not talking to the financial sector, right? And across the board, I'm including insurance, I'm including everyone. Because women, the idea of a woman having a bank account, it's weird that somewhere that is a foreign concept, right? Or
the man has a bank account, or the man handles the mess.
Or they do short-term. I can imagine women having very much the short-term solutions, right? In terms of, it might be mobile banking a little bit here and there, an e-wallet, but no comprehensive plan for themselves. But having said that, we've got a very strong legacy of women who are empowered and women who have been financially empowered through things like the stokvels, right? So, but my generation, are we doing stokvels? Are we? And I'm talking about my generations and those who need it. I don't know what the legacy is of that, but there has been in the past initiatives that were done that kind of women galvanized to try and have that independence and autonomy. What more can we do to push them now? What we need it, right? And not to just talk about because we're here in Sandton, but actually in society. My family in Queenstown, what can I do when I go there to talk to my cousins about financial inclusion? I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you are. This is brilliant.
All right.
Brilliant nuggets. And I think this was a great report, and we wish you guys well in the next steps afterwards. What I liked, there was a question that came from one of the participants. What is next after this report?
Absolutely.
Great report, great book. Then what's next afterwards?
So the report has recommendations, right? So we as much as we'd love to go into every single corporate in the country and tell them and be like, do this, do that. What the thing that report does is recommendations, right? And we have that here, and put in a very concise and simply worded way on purpose, right? There is a much bigger report I keep mentioning that's going to be done, but for us, this is the key takebacks. Even you guys as entrepreneurs can start thinking about in your context. It's not just big business, but it's for everyone to look at what they're doing and how responsible am I as a leader in my space. So we have that here, and that's where the action can come in. But even us as SVAI, through our It's Okay Not Okay movement, we actually ask people, do you want to work with us on this? Come to us, right? For us, the ultimate is to have a toolkit that we can say, okay, Owen, driven, this is what you can do. And then help implement. So we are all about practical outcomes.
It's a practical toolkit that helps people or corporates manage GBV within their company.
So this helps you with the strategy, how you're going to respond to it, how you're going to take it forward. But I must say, sometimes research doesn't feel like it's doing enough because it's talking and it's an academic exercise.
That's the process. You talk and then the
exactly, because you can't just start acting until you know literally in black and white what the status is. So for us, what's next is to actually continue to challenge people to look up, to act. We're gonna have another one. We're like, okay, so we did this. What happened? What have you done as corporate? Our member network, we're actually gonna try and have that conversation and see what's happening and how can we support you, because it's a journey for everyone.
Wow. Vuyo, thank you so much. This was Vuyo, the director of Shared Value Initiative Africa, and she's an amazing person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Owen.